The Toyota Prius Prime we're driving is the plug-in version. And when I first started driving it, I was shocked. And no, that is not a weak electricity pun.
Here's how much the Prius Prime costs.
You guys, a special thing has happened. They gave us the base trim. This never happens.
What do you mean by base version?
They got cheap ones and they got fancy ones. Normally they give us the fancy trims because they want us to see all the cool features, but I think they gave us the base trim because it is the most efficient version of Prius Prime. We previously reviewed the standard Prius, and one of the first things that really surprised me was how tiny the steering wheel diameter is. It just feels like driving a little toy car. Another thing we noticed in the standard Prius is this matte plastic up here seems a little bit inclined to scratches. This isn't as damaged as the last one, but I would be gentle touching that.
I really like the small storage in here. In the door you have room for a vertical phone with room for a bottle, but at an angle, so make sure it has a lid.
And it's really angled if you're in the back doors.
There's also a hashtag side tray.
Oh, there's a little secret storage spot that they've identified with the hashtag, and I just noticed there's a safety first hashtag by my child's right shoulder. It kind of feels like the fetch of the automotive world. The hashtag thing is probably less relevant now than when they originally conceived of this generation Prius. All that aside, I don't mind having a little secret storage spot there, and I don't mind having like side slot here. Wait, that sounded...
Side tray.
Side tray, that sounded weird the way I said it.
Yeah, you stay away from the side slot.
Hey, look, cup holders. Hey, these are great. They don't interference here with the climate controls. Even the center console area for a small car, that's a reasonable amount of space.
I like the little bits of color on the dash and the seats.
Speaking of the seats, even though this is the base trim, you do have a vertical adjustment. How do you find comfort?
They're on the firm side, but they are comfortable.
No real pressure points, and I am appreciating the lateral support here.
We should mention there is shiny black plastic in here.
If you want a place to store your dust and your fingerprints, that's where it should go.
I have my bucket of fingerprints.
Oh, good!
Hooray!
Hooray! You can get rid of that bucket and just put them right here. Moving to the back seats, knee room is great. Headroom, not great. I'm 5'10", long torso, and my hair is brushing up against the headliner and even in the outboard positions. I do think the seat back angle is a little bit vertical for my tastes. Move to that middle position, and it's just kind of uncomfortable. Kiddo, how do you find sitting in the middle position in the Prius?
Pretty comfy.
That center hump seems to be at a good height where you can sit and your feet will touch down. Oh, and how do you find climbing in and out of this thing?
It's really low, so pretty easy.
It would be nice if there were rear vents, but we do have power ports back there. An undeniable Prius Prime strength is access to the cargo area. As a hatchback, the Prius Prime is practically begging us to go to make an IKEA run. Cargo space behind the second row is 20.3 cubic feet, which is exactly the same as the standard Prius. There is a little underfloor in the foam zone, but what you won't find under there is a spare tire. And the first time we tried to review a Prius, I had a tire slash while making my way home late at night, and I was stranded. No spare tire, and the tire repair kit was completely impotent.
Is that the right word?
If you saw how much goo was coming out of that tire, you would know that that is the right word. But there is a tire repair kit. Who knows? Maybe that'll fix your tire problem. It won't. Even though there's no release from the cargo area, you can actually reach forward to the seat backs and flip them down with relative ease. What about the booster seat situation if our daughter was still using it?
The lower anchors are covered with plastic covers, which are easy to remove, but easy to lose.
As proven by the fact that the last time we had a Prius, one of those covers was already missing when we got it.
That back seat area is roomy enough that I think a rear-facing car seat would fit there as well.
As for safety, the NHTSA has rated the Prius a 5-star vehicle overall. It is a top safety pick, plus from the IIHS, we have a full suite of active driver assist technology, plus 8 airbags, hashtag safety first. Family, what do we think? Is the Toyota Prius Prime family friendly?
It is small family friendly.
Rear window test. All the way down. Boop. Armrest test. Last time we drove a Prius, I think I was a little too harsh to the armrest. I rated the inboard 25%. This is a very hard armrest, minimally padded, and that makes my elbows so sad. And I don't want to have sad elbows. That's such a weird thing to have. I find the outboard armrest to be reasonably soft, and I can access both the inboard and outboard just fine. I'm going to take a more generous tone this time. 45% inboard, 65% outboard. Moving onward to style. I really like the style of the Prius Prime. We've got futurism, we've got a wedgie profile, and we've also got that most improved status. When you're coming from many generations of just plain weird looking Priuses, this is a very good looking car. One of my favorite details is there's this little accent line on the body side that naturally leads right into the cut line for the rear bumper. It's just a very thoughtful shape. It's also a very efficient shape. Wind cheating, they say.
I like the Prius better in a lighter color. We had the silver version before, and I think it showed off the body lines better than this dark blue.
As long as we're talking about colors, in Japan you can get this very vivid yellow. I wish we could get a Prius Prime in vivid yellow. If you put the Prius and the Prius Prime side by side, they look virtually identical. And then if you look really closely, there are some distinguishing features, very subtly different head and tail lights.
I felt like I was doing one of those highlight magazine comparison and failing.
Yeah, that clown is wearing stripes, and then that clown's wearing slightly different stripes. We are big fans of the style of the Prius Prime, but what do you think? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Tell us in the comments. Also, thank you, I say aggressively pointing. Thank you for supporting our channel, whether that's a like, subscribing, maybe joining our channel to get early access, whatever you do to support us, thank you. Let's move on to In Motion. We're driving over some very rough roads here up in our mountain community, and I think the Prius Prime is handling them quite well. On my commute home, which is high speed and on freeway, the Prius rides really well. Limited wind noise, but pretty noticeable road noise. Nonetheless, I found it to be an agreeable commuter. This is not a sporty vehicle, but it is more eager when cornering than you would expect traditionally from a Prius. Because we have very efficiency-focused tires, cornering limits are limited. If you hit a freeway on-ramp with some gusto, don't be surprised when the tires start squealing. That said, based on the looks, I bet Toyota could make a GR Prius. I might be willing to take the efficiency hit to see what this thing could do when it's properly set up for sporty driving. In the beginning of the video, I mentioned that when I first got in to drive the Prius Prime, I was shocked. Here's why. I had just exited a Porsche Cayenne plug-in hybrid. We are in EV mode, no gasoline engine involved, and now I will floor it. Whee!
Not the zippiest pure EV.
But it's not a pure EV, it's a plug-in hybrid. And so what happens is you've basically taken half the powertrain out of the equation, and it still gets up to speed with reasonable haste. It may be just a perception thing, but I found this thing to be more satisfying to drive in electric mode than that Porsche Cayenne we were experiencing. I do, however, have a bit of evidence that suggests this really is a reasonably quick plug-in hybrid, which is that when I floor it, under no circumstances does it involve the gasoline engine unless I activate hybrid mode. Toyota is confident enough in its pure electric acceleration that it doesn't need to pull the gasoline lever. I was shocked. Moving over to hybrid mode, the gasoline engine's involved now, and I floored it.
That's zippy.
Right? By traditional Prius standards, this thing is a rocket ship. 0 to 60 in the Prius Prime is about 6.5 seconds, faster than the standard Prius. We've got an electronic continuously variable transmission. I don't hear that racing, annoying kind of weakness. It pulls confidently, and it sounds confident too. In addition to hybrid and electric drive modes, we also have a drive mode selector here. I don't know why it's so tiny, but there it is. Now we're in sport mode. We've also got a custom mode and eco, but sport mode does have a little bit more of that immediacy from the powertrain. If I was driving with passion, yes, I would use sport mode. I'm gonna come to a smooth stop here, and I say that with confidence because I believe in these brakes. Ding.
Very smooth.
Very smooth stop. That is not always the case. When you've got regenerative braking abilities, sometimes the brake pedal gets weird, not so here. That's what I think about driving the Toyota Prius Prime. What does Sweetie think? Evie's at the wheel. Let's show some maneuverability. Go as far as forward as you can and then just do a sudden turn to the left.
Right into the rocks.
Yay! Yeah, we've got a pretty great turning circle here. It's under 35 feet in this particular trim. But the real star of the show is the power. Oh no.
Alien Mama!
It is Alien Mama. She did that in her Hyundai Sonata video. A little burnout, but how'd you feel about the power? Would you feel confident pulling out in front of traffic with all of our blind corners here?
Yeah.
How do you find driving this thing? Does it go where you want it to?
Turning this vehicle is reassuring. It seems responsive, and the steering feels appropriately weighted.
What about looking out of it?
Ooh, not quite as positive. There is a large pillar here that when I am turning, it's hard to see beyond.
Where you sit too, since it's a little closer to the wheel, it's kind of like right here in your vision. Oftentimes, the cooler a vehicle looks from the outside, the harder it is to see from the inside.
That is a fact. When I first got into it, the seat was rather low and I could not see over this.
Yeah, it's a very long nose. The windshield glass is almost horizontal. It's like staring out of a mail slot. If we were in the market for a highly efficient plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, are there any game killers that would keep you from driving a Toyota Prius Prime?
No game killers here.
Huzzah! I'm getting back in the driver's seat. Let's move on to remarks. Infotainment, we've got a standard 8-inch screen, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wireless smartphone connectivity comes standard. There's an optional 12.3-inch screen as well. Last time we drove a Prius, we had the larger screen and the knob was on the right side. And here, the knob has moved. It's over here on the left side.
The interface is very easy to use. It's kind of a simple system. There are shortcuts on the side.
And that's pretty much it. It's really straightforward.
With the smaller screen, I don't see very well, and it is a little bit hard to see. I'm familiar enough with the system that I can navigate it despite that.
Moving over in front of me, we've got a 7-inch LCD information display for the gauge cluster area. A 7-inch screen normally works fine, but this one's pretty far away from me.
And there is quite a bit of information on the screen.
It is a little bit busy, and certain sun angles, it can get a little washed out. Now let us take a look under the hood in a test inspired by my buddy Brian. Here's how you open the hood on a Toyota Prius. Here's where you check the oil level. There's where you can add oil, and here is where you can add the washer fluid. As mentioned, the Prius Prime is a plug-in hybrid. Let's do a lap talking about the PHEV controversy. Okay, some electric car fanatics do not like plug-in hybrid vehicles.
But why?
I think the logic is that we should all just move to EVs right now, and I think that is an unrealistic stance for many people. Some of it comes down to the added cost of a full EV. You got all the resources going into having a big old battery. Charging is another challenge. A lot of people don't have the ability to charge at home, and if you can't charge at home, having a full EV becomes a lot less tenable. To my mind, here's why a PHEV does make sense. One, you're using a lot less resources for the battery. Two, because it's a smaller battery, you can charge it up at home without having special equipment. We charged it up at home using a standard household outlet, and it did it right overnight. If you have a level 2 charger, then you can charge this thing fully up in like 4 hours. For longer journeys, zero range anxiety. You can always go to a gas station if you need to. And also, you don't have to worry about getting that one slot at the one functional charging spot at the Electrify America station. We have done that. It is a big pain in the Even though it's a smaller battery, you have more than enough range to cover the average American's 35-mile per day commute. A plug-in hybrid electric vehicle moves people closer to our electrified future in a way that doesn't use nearly as many resources as a full EV. This is one of those cases where I think perfect is the enemy of good, and I would much rather have a good solution than a theoretical perfect solution that people do not use. Right now you're thinking, Micah, that's all well and good, but what if they don't charge it up? Yeah, that would be stupid. You should probably charge up your plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. If you do not use the ability to plug it in and drive on that electric range, then you're just hauling around needless extra weight. Don't do that. Now, if you really want to ditch needless weight, consider Flying Eyes eyewear. Pretty good segue, right? They're made of a patented material called Resilimite that allows for a thin, featherweight design that makes them all-day comfortable, especially under a headset or a helmet.
They're made for pilots, but you can wear them too.
To learn more about Flying Eyes, click the link in the description below. Should we switch glasses? Those are nice too. All right, let's take a look at the engine choices. The Prius Prime is powered by a 2-liter plug-in hybrid powertrain. We're driving the SE trim, and it is more efficient than the XSE and high-end XSE premium trims. Level 2 charger will get you charged up in about 4 hours. If you use a standard outlet, that's about 11 hours. 87 octane is fine. One downside to the Prius Prime, unlike the standard Prius, you cannot get it with all-wheel drive.
Sweetie,
Will
you please share our trim recommendation?
Right, I will. Our trim recommendations, which trim will give you the essential Prius Prime features you would regret not getting, but at the lowest possible price. The mid-level XSE trim does add nicer wheels, heated front seats, and faux leather seating, but it's $3,250 extra over the base trim. So, we're going to recommend the base SE trim. It includes all the essentials like automatic AC, 6 USB-C ports, blind spot warning, and smart key access. Plus, it offers the best range and efficiency of all Prius Prime trims. If you're ready to buy a Prius Prime of your very own, click the Kelley Blue Book pricing link in the description below to learn what you should spend on a Prius Prime and how much you can get from your current car for trade-in. Among competitors, there really aren't many except for the Kia Niro, which comes as a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, and a full EV. Did we miss any remarks? If so, tell us in the comments section. And now, it is our daughter's time to shine. Child, can you tell us what is your favorite feature of the Toyota Prius Prime, if I can spit it out.
Cargo cover.
Why is it the cargo cover?
I can look like a fairy or a butterfly.
Aw.
When they were designing that cargo cover, they were thinking about lightweight and they wanted to be foldable and easy to use, but they never thought about the butterfly or fairy implications. Family, I think we've done a magical job reviewing the Toyota Prius Prime. May I have a 5? And a 5. And you, come get your high five. Bam! And now please enjoy our Toyota Prius Prime Synopsis Song made expertly by AI.